world of everyone. It's Alexander Williamson here with the secret history living in your aquarium. Today, wanted to do a little pop-up stream, wanted to come say hello. We can do the whole questions and answer thing. We can also meander and, do whatever we'd like. But I wanted to talk about a variety of fish today. I want to talk about catfish, plecos, which are catfish, corridoras, loaches, any sort of bottom feeding fish that we keep in the hobby that are. Um, I like the oddballs a lot, but also about breeding them and keeping them kind of different ends of the spectrum. So, like, which ones we can keep in a tank, in a community tank, which ones we can keep in, more alkaline versus more acidic water, and what size we really need to keep them in. And then maybe we'll look at some of the newer finds on Planet Catfish or something like that, too. But yeah, I just felt like the other day, the new time slot things on the weekend are really, they're really compressed. They're like an hour, and so sometimes we end up wanting to run over that, and I want to be able to get to all of y'all questions and all of your thoughts and input, definitely. Hey, Jesse, fake name, Josh B, Fuggin, Kira, hey, Jason, what's going on, buddy? Ginger Graves, PJ and Cole, Pat, what's going on? Ginger, what's going on? Yeah, I was also just looking at Jason's aquascaping stream where he went through and kind of reviewed some of the styles of aquascapes, and I really wanted to do that too, but I figured it's too soon. You can't just rip Jason off immediately. You need to let that simmer down a little bit. But I figure because of that aquascape urge, I'm going to share with you guys. I planted the aquascape that I have to the degree that I could with what I had on hand. I need to get more carpeting plants, maybe some Monte Carlo, maybe some, dwarf baby tears I'd love to do, but they're really not easy as far as like trying to show other people the best way to do things or an easy setup. So I'm thinking Monte Carlo is probably a better choice. But let's flip this around and take a look at what we've got going on in here. So things have kind of settled, but of course I'll have to clean up the bits of things that have just kind of floated around while I was working on stuff. But pretend that's pure white powder sand. And then we've got the gray and black and kind of taupe, I guess. I don't know what to call it. Topaz coloring of the stones, as well as the black basalt. And then down here in this tank, this one's going to be black sand with the green stones. So, yeah. Right now, I don't have a powerful enough light on things, which is a bit of a... I got to figure that piece out. But, some of the pieces I had were too bold. Like this piece here, I'm going to switch it out for something a little more sedated. I had another piece up in this corner, which may be fine, but I think I'm going to replace it with a plant for balance. And to keep with the odd number theme, I'm not just going to take one away because I had 17 stones in this tank. I want to take 2 away, so it'll be 15. But basically, I planted a hydrocotyle verticillata right here, all in the sand. But the sand has substrate under it, so it'll seek that out. Then we've got a pink flamingo here. We've got a crypt lucens here, mini. Then we've also got glosso and lobelia cardinalis mini. Those are the two main carpets, are the glossostigma elliptoides and then the elantoides and the Lobelia cardinalis mini. The Lobelia cardinalis mini, they look very similar in leaf structure. So like here's that, and then compared to the Glosso. The Glosso looks similar, but even smaller. So hopefully, I mean, I need to get some more Glosso. Ideally, I need to get that or some Monte Carlo to plant back in there. The other thing, I don't know if I want to keep it this way since it's not CO2 or anything. But I think I'm on the back there. I planted a bunch of mini Rotala butterfly of different colors. So, you know, it will grow up and then I'll cut it in half and then we'll plant it again. But that will kind of provide a little bit of a wall that I'll try to keep about, I think I want to kind of keep it about like that, the pattern of it. And then have a color that matches. So that's why I put another crypt undulata up there. That will have some purples and reds in it when it's that close to the top. The heater is a major pain in the butt. I don't like where it's at. When I take pictures, I'll probably pull that out. But yeah, so oh sweet, Jason just got his big shipment, his big deal on his Blue Dreams. But the other thing is I've got the Crypt Spiralis red here, and then the Crypt Spiralis red there, and a Crypt Spiralis red tiger here. And so that's kind of like the 3-point triangle. And this stone, I think I'm going to get a smaller stone, and I may even actually swap out one of these stones. I kind of want it to look like this formation comes down and was formed and goes into the earth. So I don't know, there's a few changes that need to happen. This area up here being planted, it can't grow more than 3 inches tall or it would be immersed. Now, that's an option, but I'm thinking instead I might move things around when I can find it. But I'd like to get the Crypt Nuri Rosen Maiden and put that up here in the highlight. And then that plant stays very flat, like an inch tall, you know. So that's another idea for what could go up there, and then have some sprigs of other things kind of coming up. But you know, I think it's working out all right. And as plants fill in, and as we kind of get things growing and spilling over these edges and these fine little cracks, it'll look really cool. But it's going to require some patience. Patience I usually don't have. Patience that I usually turn tanks into this before I ever reach that stage. But while we're talking about bottom feeders, let's take a look at my favorite little bottom feeders. One that you don't necessarily think of when you think bottom feeders, but they are a bottom feeder, no question about it. And that is my Panda Loaches. And they're in with the Blue Dreams. The Blue Dreams are doing really well. Obviously right here, I'm not going to clean this because this is where they graze every morning. It gets natural light. But right over here, we should be able to see fine. And this is just, you guys have seen this trick, but don't overfeed your bottom feeders. Your bottom feeders are scavengers. And so especially if you have shrimp or you have fish that are mid-water fish, so watch, they're all kind of just hanging out watching what I'm up to. This one's getting really big, actually. He's like almost 2 inches. But I haven't fed this tank quote-unquote real fish food in days, and I will promise you that just by kicking up the dirty, nasty stuff that most people would think of as like, oh no, I need to gravel vac. Don't gravel vac all of this. I mean, if you have ammonia building up, then gravel vac it by all means. But that's not, gravel vacuuming is really for getting the debris off the tops of your tank, and the debris that is like less than 2 or 3 weeks old. Anything that's older debris than that is actually really helpful, and you don't, it turns into literal, you know, substrate, soil. So now we've got all these little guys scampering around and feeding on all the, I mean, if you look at it, you can see there's planaria, there's seed shrimp, there's just all sorts of junk in the water. But for some of my favorite little bottom feeders, that's the way I like to do it. I like to just feed them every 3 or 4 days, the tank, and do something really nice like bloodworms and rapashi or Fluval bug bites. These guys tend to they like the cichlid format or formulation. Right now, this tank has kind of gone crazy with the. Let's try to remove this so we can actually look at the colors and the life in here. But in here we have some nice bottom feeders too, and they're not the traditional bottom feeders. We're kind of working our way backwards through the non-traditional bottom feeders. I mean, we do have a Pleco in here, and they do well in most tanks, really. I mean, any acidic or neutral tank, they're going to do pretty well. And also the gobies are all doing really well, hanging out, doing their thing. Everybody's happy in here. But we've also got the lizard tail catfish, the whiptail red lizard catfish, and these guys, I think I want to move them over to. Yes, I do, Josh. I do have some warmer water L numbers. We'll go look at those soon. But yeah, I think I want to move these red-tailed lizard cats, and I do love the Somfongzi rasboras, these guys here. They're just understated, but really beautiful when you start watching them for a while. But I think the lizard cats might be going in here as one of my first choices. Right now, this filter has already been running for over a month, so it's cycled and ready to rumble, as it were. Oh boy, I was on Top Chat again, of course. Aristotle, hello. Ginger, hello. BJ Palmer, Muppet, W. Merriam, hello. Jerry says, Alex, I was removing all my fish from my quarantine tank to make room for my pea puffers. I found a baby sparkling gourami at first. Thought it was a pygmy cory. So I put it in with the shrimp. Is that okay? Well, I mean, it'll probably eat some newborn shrimp, but I mean, that's probably a great place for it to grow, honestly. Yeah. So in this tank, I'm looking, but it's not in its normal spot. Let's see if I can find it. Sometimes it crawls in the power head when it's off. Such a safe place to hang out, right? Oh, it is there. So this is a warm water. This is the Alenquer Pleco. And let's see if we can, maybe we can we see it from any angle right now without having to move everything? This is a beautiful little fish. This fish has spines though. So you want to be careful when handling this fish. I'm gonna puff it with some water and we'll get it to move. And hopefully, let's see here. Come on. Hopefully we'll get it to move and you guys can actually see it. This is also known as the Sultan Pleco. There are many Plecos that go by the name Sultan, but this is the Sultan Pleco of the Compta. So same as the zebra. I mean, similar to the Hypencistrus, similar to the leopard frog. Very pretty. I don't want to move that joint though, because I don't want to smush him. But he is not coming out. And he is like right in that joint. Man, what a little pain. Alright, let's see. What else can I do? Let me try. I can't even figure out how he got in there at his size. Or why he thinks this is a fun place to hang out. Bad place to hang out. Danger, Will Robinson. If I move the power head, though, he's bound to... I mean, we'll do it real slow. Let's see what happens. I don't want him to spine me, but he's in here. And beautiful little Pleco. He's still young. I got him from Aquatic Arts. There you go. You can kind of see him. No. Got him out, but then he just cruised right back into the corner. Let's see if we can get him back out of the corner. But yeah, this is another one that's... this guy eats a lot of meat. Also, wood is no stranger to this guy too. So this guy is kind of an interesting one. Come out. There we go. All right, let's see here. Can we see him now? Almost. We're almost home free to see this guy. Sorry about all the moving, guys. There we go. Here he comes. So this guy is just like a clouded leopard. So pretty. But they do hide a lot. But there he is. And he likes, I mean, he's going to like 84 degree water a heck of a lot more than he likes this 79 degree water right now. But the other thing it's interesting about this specific Pleco is this guy, he has eyes that face up, completely up. Focus. Hold on, guys. Let me rearrange a few things. I know that's nauseating, and I apologize. But yeah, so check out... Well, of course, then he goes around the other side. But he has eyes that face straight up until he gets to be about, 3 or 4 inches long. And then his eyes shift to the sides of his head. So it's kind of interesting. It's an interesting adaptation that they have. Then here we've got bristlenose. You guys everyone knows what a bristlenose Pleco is. By the way, my lovely Banshees, Inca 50, Apisto Banshees, the female has started to get kind of that dulled colored pattern, whereas the male is bright as ever. He looks great with this yellow and red myriaphyllum that's from Guyana. But here the female, you can see she's turning kind of grays again, and stripes are becoming more prevalent, and then her pelvic fins are getting little bright tips on the end of them. So kind of interesting to watch that all unfold. Also, while this all unfolds, they're eating all the shrimp in here, or trying to, but the shrimp are just so prolific that they can only get the babies, like the one on that leaf there or whatever. So in any case, back to Plecos. So these Plecos, even at this size, usually you can see, yeah, here's a perfect example of what's in their belly. And it's a little cinnamon roll swirl of algae and detritus and wood. They really strip things of tannins. So like these little pine alder cones, they strip those of tannins like crazy, which is interesting to me. But yeah, let's see here. Abigail says, I wanted some Plecos from Aquatic Arts, but didn't have anywhere to put them. Going to get a 30-gallon tank tomorrow and accessories for $75. Yeah, nice. Let's see here. Oh, thanks for, thanks, Aristotle. I do like those koi mollies. They're actually platies, but I like them. They might be a hybrid, actually. They're not swordtails, though, which is what everyone keeps calling them. So I'm glad you got that. These black devil spikes are a weird snail. They really come way out, and they've got a giant little. Good job, Alex. They've got this giant snout and then a little breathing tube organism that's over on the side here that other snails don't usually have aquatically. You see the land snails with them. But in any case, so they're hanging out. My babies are the trick with raising little Plecos is water flow and oxygen is big, but also exposing them to a diversity of environments and food is another big help. So that will really help if you put them. They kind of grow to the size of their pond in a certain amount of time also, if that makes sense. So if you put them in a 40-gallon, they're going to grow out way faster than if you keep them in a 10 like I'm doing up there. Like, they're just slow crawling. But I don't need mine to be big. I'm not really in a race to make them big. I just want them to grow, period. The other really cool thing about these lizard catfish, these whiptail red lizard catfish, look where all three are. I mean, they have this whole tank to do whatever they want with, and never do they leave the plants that are the color of their skin tones, their scales. So that's another, you know, important thing that I've noticed with certain oddball and smaller little bottom feeders is they really want to feel safe. You know, they want to have a home base, whether that's caves, whether that's a line of plants or a chunk of wood, but they need a place to retreat to, and a place that, you know, the way plecos work is plecos and a lot of catfish in general, they kind of set a trap for their mate, and then they get their mate to follow them, and they annoy them until they snap, and they kind of chase the male usually, and then the male's ready to lead them back to the den and block the entrance, and then spawn. Would a pleco be okay with an electric blue Acara species tank? Yeah, probably. I mean, I would say that maybe a young little baby one is gonna get eaten. Acaras can be a little mean, but at the same time, they occupy a different zone in the tank, and that is another great reason to have plecos and cribs and angels and all the different fish that you can keep. You know, I've got my top water fish, my middle and my bottom fish in every tank. I try to do that, and it really opens up a world of possibilities for what you want to do in your tank. Here I'm not seeing my plecos a lot, but I know they're around, I know they're growing, and they're happy. The babies grow much faster. If I were to throw all those babies in here, they would grow much faster in this bigger 40 breeder. And you know, the other thing is here is that I've got this, we'll check if anybody's home in that cave. Actually, we got a little betta hanging out here too, but down in here I've got caves kind of littered throughout the area, and I don't think anybody's home. It's full of moss though, but we'll definitely leave the caves. I always like that system, and then I just kind of cover them up with moss, let them be kind of a refuge where the critters can fall back. I think that for spawning, you know, there's some fish. Here's another oddball, lipstick goby. This is going to be primarily carnivorous. Now, one thing that is an incredibly nuanced and difficult thing to learn, and you're just going to have to learn it as you keep different fish, different oddballs, different plecos, is the idea that you feed your fish, and your aggressive or your outgoing fish come to the top, they eat, they get a lot of the food. Then if you have shy fish, they kind of miss out on things. And then you've got your kind of bottom dwellers and kind of weird, you know, like these guys here, or like the peacock gudgeons. And so you need to pick a food, one that sinks, or that you can take tweezers and put down there. But the bigger thing than just sinking it is you have to, one, know that your plecos are going to eat it. Otherwise, you've literally just basically taken a little pellet of ammonia and dropped it in your tank. You might as well, like, take a Q-tip, swab it with Windex, and throw it in the bottom of your tank. And, I mean, that's a little bit facetious, but it's not far off from what happens if you say if you're using, you know, bigger pellets of something and just putting them on the bottom. So that's why it's also good. That's why I really recommend having shrimp and snails with them. However, I have run into some issues with snails and plecos. Multiple times I've lost my pleco colonies when I've had larger pleco colonies due to the fact that they're eating the snails too. They will eat, especially if you have low calcium in your water and the snails have a soft shell. And there are a million different parasites that live in snails for different fish and humans alike. There's some really nasty ones. But I have gotten several bad complete die-offs. I mean, everyone die in 48 hours type things from Vibrio that lives in, or it's fine with living in cold water snails. And then it can make its way into the mid 70s range snails too. Now, this is another thing I was playing with that aquascape over there. Is I have all this Homlomena Sudeku South and Homlomena Blue, which is just basically boosts. Might as well think of it as the same thing. And then we've got some boosts and some mini boosts and a few oddball Anubias petite nanas and an Anubias caufifolia pinto. I thought in my head that I would use that over in this tank. Maybe I can tuck some in here or here to kind of like anchor those dark points since it's dark boost. Maybe right there and there and there and there. I don't know. But I don't want to overdo it for one, and then for two, they really don't take much out of the substrate, or they don't take much nutrients out of the system, so they're not super helpful in that respect. I really do want to start keeping plecos for sport, plecos for spawning more again. I fed them just before this stream, so we'll kind of sneak up on them. But here is my lemon pleco and all my Cory cats in this tank. You'll see everybody is at the bottom. They love these carnivore tabs, which I'll show you guys what I'm feeding them, but they really love these. And like I was saying, it's important not to overfeed your fish at the bottom, but it's also really important to feed them. I mean, you can't leave them alone. Oftentimes, Corys are good at going towards the top and kind of sniffing out food, but plecos can get really shy. And if you get away from plecos and you get into things like, let me try to think of another fish, Synodontis. There's a big group of catfish that, you know, they're not going to be as gregarious as these lemon plecos. So I think it's really important to make sure that you're not feeding all the time and that you're kind of cleaning up some of the plant debris if your fish aren't eating it. Now, sometimes if you don't feed a fish for 2 or 3 days, you'll start noticing that they're eating all sorts of stuff that normally they wouldn't. Here we've got the Venezuelan orange and or red, whatever you want to call it. There's 2 varieties of the black and orange Aeneas venezuelas. And then we've got the female lemon over here. She's a little less yellow than the male back over there. But then we also have some babies from them. And then we've got the hyphen blue dwarf pepper Corys. And there's a few of the Aeneas that are, these were supposed to be orange and blue. But 2 generations in now, I noticed some of them in this tank actually don't maintain that marking color. Now on the live stream it doesn't show up super well, but they're bright orange and cobalt blue, kind of gunmetal blue or gray. But I recommend keeping, if you can, if you've got a good enough sized tank, I recommend, highly recommend keeping, you know, Hebrosis or Histatus or Pygmaeus Corridoras, the little teeny ones, like, let's see here. I know I see a couple right in here. They're just not letting me film them. There's one right behind here. But there we go. There he is. But they will get into the nooks and crannies that the big plecos and things won't, and they tend not to be so shy. I mean, at night they'll come all the way up here, and that's another important note that I wanted to make, which is feed your catfish at night, especially if you have wood cats or Synodontis or like mustard catfish or you know, some of the oddball croaking catfish and things like that, feed them at night. Like that's when they're awake. That's when they hunt. The nighttime is the right time, and they're not going to be happy, healthy, wealthy, wise, or alive for that matter if you don't. Now, you can see here hiding deep in the bowels of my rockery work here. And I have to be careful because these guys do have spines, but these are my leopard frog plecos. These are Peclotia comptas. I always want to say compactas, but I think they're comptas. I think that's how you say it. And I have given them different spawning areas. They want this rock. That's the bottom line. They like the rock. They're yellow. They're bumblebee yellow, kind of like this, and then they're also black. Love these. They're from Aquatic Arts. I've got 4 or 5 in here. I honestly don't know. I know that I've got 2 adults right here, and that they're about 4 inches now. They're about 2.5 years old at least. I've had them 2 years, so. And then the other ones are probably a year and a half old now, and they're probably 2 inches to 2.5 inches. They take a while to grow up. Now, the important thing to know about them is I can't just throw any old food in there for them. This is what they like. They like these Hikari sinking carnivore pellets. This is their jam right here. And sometimes I'll break them up. But the other thing is that you get anything if you have an angelfish, you have a big fish in your tank that's, or even like cribs, sometimes they'll smell this and they'll go boom right for it, and they won't even let it hit the bottom and sink. And that's where I like to do things too. Like you'll take a piece of cholla wood, for instance, that's hollow, and put some rapashi in it. Like set it so there's rapashi in it, and then just leave that in the tank for 12 hours or whatever. You don't want it to spoil, but I mean, it can take a while of hanging out there. And then, I really like having Cories and Plecos together. They both just kind of complement each other. People assume that Plecos are going to clean their glass really well, and I have yet to really have many Plecos that are good cleaners of the glass. Some will hang out and seemingly clean the glass all day, suck on the glass all day, but if you inspect it really closely, you'll come to find out that, wait a minute, they're not really doing a whole lot most of the time. There's some exceptions to that. And then the other thing I want to say about this combo here is, so like with the lemon plecos, the ancestris cirrhosis, so all the super reds, all the bristlenose, longfin, green dragons, calicos, albino blue eyes, all that kind of stuff, cheese creeks, all those strains and styles, they need fiber. So it can be in the form of cellulose wood starch. That's great. But also like lignin and other things they need it from. So tannins are another important thing to utilize in your tanks to get them to grow fast. They actually have a method of securing the lignin and the cellulose of plants and structuring that right into energy, unlike any other fish that we know of, specifically the ancestris cirrhosis that like the wood. In this tank, I've had lots of plecos over the years, but right now we're mostly dealing with, I've got Trilineatus corridoras, and then I've also got the panda cories. Now, simultaneously, what's going on is we've got day 4 of eggs. They should be hatching tonight or tomorrow morning. But it's this little yellow gal, the little yellow angel with Sergio, of course, because it's always Sergio, having a baby on the new filter stem that's in there. But my note on this tank is levels. Sorry about I need to get the gyroscope out again and stabilize things. But it's levels. Avicii. I can't sing techno. But you've got a level here, one here. You've got a wall for grazing here that gets some natural light this way. You've got another stone here with a level and then plants. So that allows these bottom dwellers to utilize much more of the tank because they consider that part of the bottom. If they were in a lake or something, it's just part of the pathway back up to even keel normal waters. So I don't know. I think that's another little uh, do, 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 tidbit that I find helpful. Stephen the biologist, good to see you as always. Joe Black, what would be the best TDS for a plant tank? Well, that depends. So some plants you can be using. I mean, it depends on your fertilizers. I know Father Fish doesn't like to use fertilizers, and he's got a deep substrate method. He doesn't like to use liquid fertilizers, I should say. I do. I love them. I use fish for nitrates, nitrites, and ammonia, and also plant debris. There's going to be enough fish. I mean, look at all these guys skipping around the bottom that I don't see usually. These guys are all hidden all day long, and there's 20, 30 of them. And I don't see them. I usually just see the little upper fish. But I like to use these three products, and so the TDS can fluctuate. TDS is not as important to me as, pH and then what that TDS is. It's hard to know sometimes, but I know that my tap water has a TDS of 28 and that this tank is running at about 138 TDS, ideally, usually, or 150. And that right now it's up to 210. So what did I do to get it up there? Well, it's probably from the substrate breaking down, getting kicked up when I move plants out of there and things. And then I added a wee bit of coral just to add some carbon and some calcium back into the system. Those aren't hugely needed in a lot of plants, but there are some plants that really do like a little bit harder water. And sometimes if you start to embark on that mission of can I add some leaves and tannins and get this thing to be neutral, but with tannins and with a buffer of KH or GH. It's kind of like, add a little bit of leaves and they turn down into carbonic and nitric acid. And then if you've got a deep substrate, you've got sulfuric acid and nitric acid coming back up. The biome will then release ammonia and NH3, NH4, different gases and things too. And they also encase the leaf or the root casings, but they spit that back out. So that's a part about anoxic bacteria that they don't always really tell you, that make it clear about the BSB bags or Dr. Novak, is that one, you need a substrate that's like, 5-6 inches deep to really get it going well. And two, yes, it breaks down, and the bacteria in there, all it needs is iron, sulfur, and then it needs nitrites, and it will eliminate it. It will eat them, but it breaks down nitrates and nitrites into its source atoms, basically. So you get various salt, sulfur compounds. You get the iron back out rather than iron oxide and things like that. And then you also get the actual ammonia compounds as well as chlorine, and things like that. So what I like to use is Flourish Iron. I don't use Flourish XL. It melts everything. But I do use a cap of this per 20 or 30 gallons usually about, and then I'll do that once a week. And then I get all my nitrates and ammonia and nitrites from the system itself, from the fish, from pooping, and from food, because we all overfeed usually. And then I use these. So the Green Brighty, and these are a little expensive. I know I could be using an all-in-one, but I'm happy to pay the 25 or 30 bucks a month on a tank when I really want it to shine. Right now, this is kind of in stasis. It's kind of in hibernation mode where I'm just giving it a pump every few days from each one. But if I really want to fire it up and start the CO2 again and blast it with light for 10 hours, then that's when I would be dosing daily, and that really makes a huge difference. And I would also use root tabs. I mean, you can beat these plants over the head with nutrients, and that won't be a problem. What will be a problem before that is that your water turns green, or that your fish can't take the nitrates or nitrites that have accumulated. So my advice on that is to not worry about that piece of the puzzle. Now I want to hop on to Planet Catfish. I'm going to go over your questions. Oh, and I see a super chat, the super chat of the day. But I figure we'll look at a couple catfish and then we'll answer y'all's questions. Again, I'm trying to stick with this weekend time slot thing, and it's killing me. Hold on, let's see here. What do I have to do to make this work? Let me critically think here for a moment, guys. Me not good at critical think. I need to take this thing. Okay, so that needs to go up. We need to get this to bend down. So then we'll turn this way. Okay, now we're cooking with gas, everyone. All right. I need to catch up on your comments too, but before I do that, why don't we get my favorite wood cats? These guys strike like a bass. They are epic. I figure we'll pull some up. We've got the I'll zoom in too. Hold on, let's get this tripod situated. Alright. We'll zoom in. There we go. So we have a nice honeycomb catfish there. There's so many of these pictures on Pinterest, and I'm like, I know I shouldn't be sexist, but who are the guys sitting on Pinterest adding all these pictures? Steve says, Alex, I've watched a video of yours and I spotted a pleco you had with plate deposits on its head. Plecosum, bristlenose plecosum, corridora, and other species have armored and plated bodies. I don't know what your question is, or is that just a statement? Oh, it's a genetic mineral plate deposit syndrome from genes. It's generally harmless and shouldn't really cause many issues. Okay. Thank you, Steven. It's probably not from hard water. My hardest tanks are like 250 TDS right now. I mean, nothing crazy. But yeah, another fish, if you want to keep soft water, these are great. These wood cats come in some just beautiful varieties. They're very nocturnal, so I do have to say you may never see your wood cat, but I mean, they're just beautiful. The Ningensis was my favorite one that I've kept. Let's see if we can find that one. There we go. Looks like a little orca. And there's two varieties. There's one that has all these white spots on it, and there's another that has more defined, not really gradient, but defined cutoff of the pattern. There's the ninja, and then sometimes the orca or killer whale version. Priscilla, how's it going? Anybody coming over from Swiss Aquatics? Welcome. Let's see here. Does anyone have tips for transplanting an already established dwarf lily into another tank? Do you remove all the leaves or put the entire plant in the new tank? I take a knife if I can, and I cut in from an angle, cutting out in so that you kind of have a bowl-shaped plug. You can cut all but the very biggest lines to that, and then just lift it up and dig a little hole in the new spot where you're going to put it in the new tank, and then push it down in and cover it up. That's my advice. Lurking and working, Chubs. I feel you. Larry D's tank some more. Hello. I want to take off my hoodie. I'm hot. Feeling hot, hot, hot. The roof's on fire. Feeling hot, hot, hot. These guys, though, I was going to say, these live at the low pH. These guys will live at like 3.0 pH, and that's where they like to spawn. So unlike Synodontis, some Synodontis can take, lower pH, but a lot of them are from the Rift Lakes, and they're spots where the salt and the salinity, that's the same thing, the salt and the TDS kind of reach a apex almost. And down the lake from them, they still exist. Yeah, hit that like button if you haven't yet, if you want to. Let's see here. Priscilla is lurking. Somebody asked, Big Hank Tank, or Big Tank Hank, good to see you, buddy. Also, Brienne Farrell, hello. Danikin, what's up, Kenny or Danny? Ken Danny. Fishymon. Yeah, woodcats, yeah, they generally only come out at night. But feed them bloodworms, and you'll all of a sudden, they're just like, they're hungry like the wolf. They come out of nowhere. Kang Trong, hello. I have Hebrosis cories in my cherry shrimp tank. Will they pose a threat to my shrimplets? Not really. They may eat one or two every spawn, the first week or two, but shrimp hide pretty well. Shrimp know that they are the top of the menu for everyone, and it's not uncommon to find a shrimp that's, I don't know, a month old that's just been left there, dehydrating or whatever. Let's see here. In the corner of the tank. Thank you so much, Kira. Corey Dorable. Love the name. We got a super chat out of Canada, the $2. Appreciate that. Also, I posted some new pictures on the community tab of the YouTubes. Biscotti, let's see, Biscotti Nanya. Hey, I finally caught you during a live stream. Any tips on scaping a 60-gallon tall, 2 feet by 1 feet by 48 inches long? Yeah, I mean, I always recommend terracing things, especially if you feel like you're beyond your basic flat level aquascape. I always say bring it up towards the back. Bring it up towards the back. It'll give you the illusion of depth, and also it'll kind of give some little hiding spots out of the direct line of sight for some of the other fish. So that seems to help quite a bit to diffuse aggression. Yes. So, what other catfish questions do we have going on? Now, these woodcats, they're going to be these driftwood cats, they're going to be the new darlings of the fish, of the catfish world for a while. Fission Tank Dicks, hello. And also Master Black, what's up? How's it going? Another fish that if you're so inclined, check these out. I saw these at my local store recently. Hybridized giraffe catfish. So there's shovel nose giraffe catfish. Look at this scary catfish. Well, it's not. Never mind. That picture doesn't get very big. But I would legitimately be scared by some of these catfish. This redfin shark or catfish is just terrifying. But oh yeah, here we go. Here's a tiger shovel nose catfish, and I really like this hybrid. Some do occur in the wild, but it's not very common. Humans do this more. Wow, it's only $29.99. I can see how people would get duped into buying these fish and then find out that they get huge. So yeah. Let's see here. I think overall, though, the biggest advice I can give you is to do your research. Look up your care level, the temperament, what your minimum size tank is. For me, this doesn't make sense for a striped Raphael catfish. 30 centimeters or 30 gallons. That doesn't add up in my head. I think they need a lot more room than that. That's the minimum for when you get them, I feel like. Let's see here. Why do mystery snails burrow? Because they're trying to find a little safety spot, I would guess. Yeah, Alan says $29.99 for the fish, $10K for the fish tank setup. Yeah, that's the oldest trick in the book. So do your research. Figure out how big they're going to get. These guys get about 7 inches. I mean, I feel like I've seen them bigger, but that might just be like a long tail variant that's going around. But the interesting thing about breeding these larger catfish, other than like Corys and Plecos, is that you're actually having to wait a long time before you get fry, before you can reproduce. Some of them like up to 4 or 5 years, and that is a long time to wait. In that case, so let's see here. So here we've got, sometimes you'll find a good specimen on Catfish World that they'll relist just because it fits the phenotype better. Oh, I'm not logged in. That's part of the problem. We'll do that another time, I guess, because of that. But we can look up... some of the bigger catfish. Do I have any experience with Synodontis petricola? Yeah, the Cuckoo Catfish. I really like them. Now, those ones, and also Ancestris, I highly recommend that you get a dither fish when you do that. So they like to chill at the bottom or mid-level to low level in the tank. And if you provide them with a bunch of caves, that will give them lots of different opportunities of where to hide, and where they want to make their stand with their mate, basically. I mean, look at all the different Pleco cave options there are. These are watering spikes here, and you can get these for $2 or $3 a piece. They're just terracotta, and they work as good, if not better, than this one that I've tried, or this one. Some of these are for very specific plecos, and so maybe they're, like a watermelon pleco, and maybe that works out well. But I think for the most part, these little condo situations work okay sometimes. But replicating nature, in my mind, is always the best course, if possible. So, get them their hides. Make their hides. Hide their hides in your aquascape. Catfish Terry, Big J, Tennessee H2O. Good to see everybody. Chevy Fish. Yeah, ceramic pipes work great. PVC pipes work for some species and some people. But I recommend taking some sandpaper on a stick and buffing out the inside with some real tough grit sandpaper so that they can get purchased. Their eggs can purchase onto the ledge. Let's see here. But yeah, lots of opportunities and options for this. For these little caves. I think they're kind of overpriced in general, but if you find one that's working, you can't really beat it. All right, guys. Well, we're already coming up on the hour mark. I guess that's the curse of when we, whoa, there goes the camera. That's the curse of when we are working on the timeline of the dreaded other YouTubers. I know there's other YouTubers streaming today, and up next, I believe Father Fish and maybe JH might be going up next. I'm not sure, but I wanted to come on again because yesterday was really short. Today felt short. Feels like I can't cover enough in an hour plus answer questions sometimes. But you know what? Thank you so much, Super Chatters. Thank you so much, friends. And thank you, mods. You got my back. I appreciate you people. And I'll be in the chats. I'll be around. So keep in touch and let me know what subjects you're curious about. We need to do some history videos ASAP and some science videos. Get back to the heart of this channel and keep plugging away at it, you know? All right, guys. Well, have a good one, lurkers and berserkers, talkers, whatever you want to call yourself. Have a good one. And all of you new faces, thanks for stopping in. Come on in next time. Check out any of my one of 700 videos now. There's a bunch of them. And yeah, have a good time. If you have a question, feel free to leave it. That's what I live for, is being able to feel stumped and then having to go research and figure it out. So love it. All right, guys, have a great day, and I will talk to you later. Whoa.